Hi everyone, sorry about that. I hope you can hear me now. My phone's been having issues, and then I just tried my Bluetooth earphones to try talking through, and that didn't seem to work either. Um, Natasha let me know it wasn't picking up my sound for some reason, so of course. But I am here on my computer now. I had to switch gears on that, and I'll assume you can hear me because Natasha is nodding her head. Okay, perfect. So just let me get reoriented here. Sorry about that. It's always something, right? Okay, look at you guys already on it. Hashtag live. Hello, everyone. So let me start over from the top. Share what you're drinking. Let me know where you're watching from. Use those hashtags live if you're here right now. Hashtag replay if you're watching later on. Um, I am sipping my typical rum, almost finished with this bottle of Don Q. Um, Probably next week. So cheers to you guys. Happy Tuesday. And let's talk about the last week and weekend. I'd love to hear what you guys did. So if you did anything fun this weekend, please do share in the comments. Let me know. And yeah, so we had I don't know, I guess a half busy, half not busy weekend, it seems. Um, our office got finished that we're having built in our backyard. I know I mentioned that a couple months ago when construction on it started. It is done, and me and Natasha are now getting ready to hopefully move into it this week, slowly, day by day. We'll see. It's kind of a process, with the day job and the kids and everything. So we'll see. And this weekend is supposed to be like 10 degrees outside, so that should be fun. So I'm telling myself to get myself psyched. But it's done, and hopefully next week's episode will be live from the office. So I'll show you guys around our new setup and where I'll be working and writing from going forward. So exciting stuff. Um, let's see what else. Yes, I saw my cousins, Tim and Carolyn, who are normally regulars in here. I think I saw Tim slide in earlier. Not sure if you guys are back in here, but a big thank you to them. They gifted me a couple of T-shirts, one which I'm wearing today. It says, "Let's chat on Tuesday, Boozeday." Sorry about covering my face. But they got me this shirt just for obviously Tuesday, Boozeday, and they also got me a shirt of Snowball, the Snowball cover, which I'll wear another night here. So thank you to you guys. That was a very cool gift, and I signed some books for them as well. Hadn't seen them in a while. So good catching up there. And then, let's see, Sunday was the Super Bowl. We kind of just hung out during the day before going to a small gathering for the game itself. I know a lot of people had complaints about the game and halftime. I had no issue with any of it. I placed some silly bets Sunday, just driving over. So let's throw some, $5 here and there on some dumb things, and they all happened. Um, so I won $600 on the Super Bowl. That was fun. So I have no complaints about the game. I thought it was a great game, and I love the weekend. So I loved halftime. So anyone who's hating on that, I don't know what to tell you. He's awesome. Um, so yeah, looks like you guys all had fun weekends too. Looks like a trip to Grand Lake. Crafts with the kids. Oh yeah, that's what we did on Saturday. I was trying to think. I feel like we did something during the day, but I couldn't remember. We did crafts. God, I hate crafts. I really do. It's torture for me. It almost makes me depressed when I'm doing them, which I know is not the point. Rather be writing, right? But yeah, we did crafts. They had fun. That's all that matters. My fun waits till they're in bed, I suppose. But yeah, glad to hear you all had good weekends, it sounds like. Hope you didn't party too hard on the Super Bowl because I definitely did. So yeah, so that was our weekend. Let's see, pop culture wise, nothing really new going on. I'm still reading Hunted by Darcy Coates. We're watching Parks and Rec. We're caught up on Superstore. I've been watching The Departed on Netflix. Old movie, not I shouldn't say old movie, older movie. I don't think I've watched it since it came out. Really good, very loaded cast. And then Natasha and I watched The Wedding Ringer this last weekend with Kevin Hart. That's a funny movie. I forgot how funny it is. She just wanted to watch it randomly, so that's what we watched. Yeah, I guess she just had the itch for some Kevin Hart in her life. Um, so yeah, if you guys have been watching anything new, would love to hear it in the comments. Let me know what's hot out there, what's trending. I'll definitely add it to my list, which I am slowly chipping away at. So yeah. Oh, hi Bernadette. I see Bernadette in here. Quick shout out, congratulations. Bernadette has released her 44th book today. Wow, that's crazy. You're about to have more books than we've had presidents in this country, and that is very impressive. So congrats, Bernadette. You continue to inspire me, and I know several of us in our little author group here. So congrats. Cheers to you. Hope it was a successful launch. Writing wise, on my side of things, let's see, what was I up to? I'm working on Nightfall, that sequel for Amelia Doss. About 10,000 words in of my 30,000 for my half. And Stephanie let me know she's going to be starting on her half this week. So everything's on track for that book and book 3 to be out in the fall, just in time for Halloween. And let's see, editing wise, I am in what I call editing season. So that's where I commit to editing a bunch of chapters over the course of a week. So I'm very tired. I was up till 1 a.m. last night editing Time of Fate, that final book of the Wealth of Time series. I gotta say, and I don't say this often, but I like it. I actually like this book. I like how it ends. It feels very complete, satisfying. I was surprised. I don't know. It's that imposter syndrome again. It's like, oh, it's not that good, but you know what? This one's it's not bad. I say so. Yeah. So let's see. I see some of your guys' recommendations there. Thank you, Pat. Thank you for the reminder on The Stand. I was waiting till they were all out so I can just binge it and not have to pay multiple months. So I'll need to plan on when I'm going to watch The Stand. So good call. Thank you on that. Aside from the editing, Bad Faith, the third book of the series, is currently in production for audio. I don't know when I'm going to get that back, probably the end of this month, and then it's just the waiting game for when it'll be posted live. So yeah, stay tuned on that, I guess, as it goes. So yeah, that's kind of what I have going on. Writing in the writing world, not too much goes on when I'm in my editing sessions. All my time really just goes towards that, trying to crank that out, giving myself deadlines. It's very torturous. I don't suggest you give yourself hard deadlines. You will drive yourself crazy and exhausted, which I am. So let's shift gears to our topic of the day. Let's see, and I'm under my 10 minutes that Natasha told me for my intro part, so that'll make her happy. Looks like we're at 8 minutes. Should I just ramble for 2? I'm kidding. So, tropes. She just glared at me. I'm not going to do that. So my topic today I want to discuss is tropes in fiction. So for those of you who are probably not too involved in writing or, really creating any sort of story, you may not even know what that means, but you do know what it means. Oh, hi, Tim. There you are. Hello, with your bottle of water. Cheers. So a trope, by definition, I just pulled this off Wikipedia to see what they call it exactly, and there's a few definitions. But a trope in terms of literature, they describe it as a commonly recurring literary and rhetorical device, motif, or cliche in creative works. I like to define it as something, you can say a cliche, but I like to think of it more as an expectation within a certain genre. Um, for example, we'll just pick on Bernadette here, since she writes romance. Romance can be the classic story of, enemies to lovers sort of thing. That in itself is a trope, and that's sort of a big trope that can cover the whole arc of a story. And then you have smaller tropes that are maybe expected within the genre, like does it take place in a small town where everyone knows each other? So just sort of those little things. I'm sure she can tell you a lot more about it within romance. I just use that as sort of a big example. But I did have some here for my genres that I write. So the horror genre is loaded with tropes. So for example, pretty much anything bad happening on Halloween night. That's a very common trope in horror. Obviously, we have the Halloween movies, but there's plenty, stories, movies out there that just play around that holiday because it's easy to. It's a holiday associated with horror, so it's very easy to play off that. Another trope is conjuring evil. So something actually that we did in the Amelia Doss series in book one, Resurrection, is all about conjuring an evil spirit. In this case, it's conjuring a dead body back to life and letting them, run rampant on the small town. And there's that small town trope again. You never hear these things happening in New York City. It has to be a small town in the mountains where there's just not a lot of people. It just works better. Other things in horror, found footage. So a very popular one is someone finds an old recording, whether that's visual or audio, and they kind of investigate from there. Think the Blair Witch. That is basically shot as a documentary where the footage was found. That's probably the most popular example of that trope. A dark haunted house that you're alone in. To play off that, you have the bad guy or the serial killer typically who just doesn't seem to die ever. Um, and then of course, one of my favorites is your dead cell phones. Why is it whenever you're running from a serial killer or you find yourself stranded in a haunted house that your cell phone just doesn't work? Either it doesn't have service or your battery died. How convenient that always happens. Or, another one you see a lot is, why are people in horror movies so dumb? Why do they always agree to split up into smaller groups where they individually get hacked off throughout the movie? So I guess the best way to put a trope is it's necessary, because if you use logic, especially in certain genres like horror, you don't really have much of a story. If you use logic, everyone stays together. They probably strategize on how to take down the bad guy, and then they succeed in doing that. But I don't know that that's necessarily fun to read or watch. So you have these tropes that sort of develop over time. It's how do you make this story work? And unfortunately, in my favorite horror genre, that requires making your characters kind of dumbed down. Um, but again, there's always going to be that one person who is smart and knows what's going on. Um, so yeah, and tropes. Even if you don't know what they are, you do, or you might know someone who does. Raise your hand if you have an annoying spouse or an annoying significant other, I should say, who you watch movies with, and then in the first 5 to 10 minutes, they'll tell you exactly what's going to happen in the ending. Natasha does that with me all the time. It drives me crazy. If we watch a romantic comedy, she's like, "Oh, that's who she's gonna fall in love with," and then she is right 100% of the time. That's because she understands the tropes and knows how it's supposed to work and how it's supposed to play out. So, for anyone trying to write, it's important, I would say, to learn the tropes in your genre. You don't have to use all of them. But do understand if you want to make a living writing, you have to play to these tropes. There are expectations. In romance, it has to be a happily ever after ending. If you do anything different, people are going to throw your book in the trash and leave you 1-star reviews, um, which in that case you don't want because there will be a lot of them, and then people will stop buying your book. Stan is raising his hand. Yes, Stan, you're the one married to the author, so I'm sure, and she writes romance. So my God, you watch a rom-com, you're screwed. Bernadette already knows what's happening. And silly me, even 4 years in, I'm still very observant and trying to follow the storyline. What's going to happen? Maybe I just like that element of surprise. Natasha still has to ruin it though. Shannon, your husband does it during mystery games. Yeah, I'm sure that's a tricky one to really master, but if you can, more power to you. Um, so yeah, funny thing, obviously I write my time travel series, and I've mentioned before I've only read one time travel book, 11/22/63. So I wasn't really aware of tropes or expectations within the genre. Kind of reckless on my end, you could say. But I just dove in and rolled with the story, and it took me where it should. And I actually looked up time travel tropes today, just curious, what does it say? And it seems that I have been meeting them. The most important thing in a time travel story is that someone is going either forward or backward in time to try to fix something. If that's righting a wrong or wronging a right, if you're the bad guy, whatever that may be. So that's kind of the most important element that you should have in a time travel story. And secondly, it should be your character should always have resistance from making their changes. Again, that comes back to if we don't have these tropes, or I guess you can call them these, unwritten rules in place, how does that affect your story? It can make it either very boring or make it not make any sense. So the tropes are sort of there as a guide. I think that's kind of the best way to put it, just, at least in the time travel genre. I mean, if you think about it, someone wants to write a story, um, about stopping the Holocaust. If there was no rules, your character would just go back and shoot Hitler, and that's that. Um, and that just obviously that's not a fun story. You need that resistance. If you've read 11/22/63, you'll know it's obviously about the main character trying to stop the JFK assassination, and he does lots of research. He lands 4 years early, and each little thing he tries to change leading up to the big day, he is met with some resistance. And then on the day itself of the assassination, you can literally feel the world and time and just, kind of all those elements of existence just resisting and pushing and doing what it can to stop. Because time wants what happened to still happen. So, time itself is your enemy in any time travel story. And that's something I have played around with in the Wealth of Time series, and I've had a lot of fun doing so. So, yeah, that's all I had on tropes. If you guys have any questions, please drop them in the comments. Let me know. I'm happy to answer. It's always a trippy topic, fun topic, I guess, to discuss. Um, well, Natasha lets me know what we have going on next week. There she goes. She's rolling her eyes. Like, why didn't you ask me 2 hours ago, idiot? Oh, I'm just kidding. She's ready for me. Let's see. Next week we are talking about our favorite candy. Is that correct? Okay, well, I don't know what I'm going to talk about for 10 minutes about candy. So maybe you guys can come prepared, and we can fill out our discussion. Shannon asked, what about thriller tropes? So thriller is a very wide genre. There's obviously different subgenres within that. You have psychological thrillers, you have action. Um, I can't really speak to that too much. I know action. Think of your typical James Bond movie, Jason Bourne. You have your badass main character who is just seems to be skilled in everything. That in itself is a trope. You need that sort of character to even bother with that sort of story. And I'm glad you asked that too, because that is the sort of series I'm going to be writing for my spin-off for Wealth of Time. So we'll talk about that this summer, but it's going to be a kick-ass female main character who is skilled in everything and can, accomplish anything she wants. So girl power there, but that'll be later this summer. So that's something I'll have to take a deeper dive into the tropes. That's what I've been doing, listening to the Beatrix Rose series by Mark Dawson, just to get a feel for kind of what's that expected trope within each book. How does it progress from book to book throughout the series? So yeah, so that's kind of more along the lines of action adventure type of stories. Psychological thriller. Obviously, I've written the Insanity series. But even still, that series, it doesn't stay true to probably the typical tropes, because book one is its own sort of thing. Book two is more of a legal thriller, which I definitely played to the tropes in that series, or in that book rather, after reading a lot of John Grisham, who writes legal thrillers exclusively. So yeah, just getting a feel for, how are the attorneys supposed to be? How are the judges supposed to be? You have to meet those sort of expectations if you want your book to be taken seriously by people who read legal thrillers. So yeah, tropes for authors, it's always going to be a lot of research, a lot of reading. That's why they say you should be reading, because even subconsciously you're picking up on these things, and it'll eventually reflect back down into your writing. So thank you for that question, Shannon. Tim, Natasha, love the shirts. We all love them in this house. Well, all two of us, I guess. I haven't shown them to the kids yet. Not that they can even read, and they're terrified of Snowball. So I'll probably wait on that shirt to show them. But yes, so thank you for that. I might just wear it every Tuesday. We'll see. Um, so yeah, guys, that is what I have today for us in the fun world of tropes. So think about that as you start watching movies, reading books. Kind of identify what's that common thing that just seems to always be happening. And once you figure that out, you now know tropes. Um, so yeah, guys, I guess next week we're chatting about candy. So maybe this won't be a Tuesday booze day. I will turn in my booze and, I don't know, eat Hershey's and Reese's all day. I don't know. Maybe I'll go get a Blizzard and eat it in front of Natasha because she can't, because she's on a cleanse right now. That'd be mean and funny, so I just might. Okay, guys. Well, before I start rambling, I'm going to end on that note. I will say cheers. Happy Tuesday. I hope you guys stay safe and stay healthy. It feels like we're almost back to normal this summer, I hope. We'll see. Um, I'll go hug each other virtually still for those of you who are not in Denver. But yeah, stay safe out there, guys. I'll be back in touch next Tuesday. Keep those comments coming, both in this video and in the group. Don't expect too much engagement from me these next couple weeks as I will be in my editing cave. I will bug Natasha to get some posts on there so we can keep some good conversation going. She's smiling, so she loves it. All right, guys. Well, cheers again. Happy Tuesday. I'll see you guys back next week. Have a good night.